in my journey to try and create this new whatever this is, and I say whatever this is because it's nothing unimportant, it's just what is so massive. It's just how do you put an elephant into a word, you know? Every part of them that's saying what it is. So I was in the fashion industry for about 4.5 years or so, give or take a few months either way. And I never intended to be in that industry, but I got pulled into it and I was in it, and I was the right-hand person for somebody in that industry. So I got to see everything from the very beginning of the design on paper all the way through to where it's hanging on the rack and being shipped out. Yes? It's from right out of shipping. And she would do those most beautiful drawings. I cannot tell you how gorgeous they were, these exquisite styles. Oh my gosh. It was a high-end line too, so it was just beautiful. And then it would go back to, and it's pretty basic, pattern maker, cutter, sewers, finishers. They have their process, right? So they hire their models for the fittings by body size. Now I don't think they do anymore nowadays because the sizing is so different. I am shocked everywhere now. It is unbelievably messed up, I think. But anyhow, in those days, it's pretty much the same thing. They had very close sizing between even manufacturers. You could pretty much count on you wore that size. And the models were hired by their body size. Not the size of body overall, but just their measurements. And it was always better if they were a little bit taller because it would hang on them differently and it just looked better. It was easier, right? And they usually, in those days, I think that they hired pretty attractive gals. They wanted to be somewhat attractive. They might use them downtown in the showroom or send them on the road for shows or whatever. And so that's how they were hired. And they're not fashion models. Some could have been here and there, but no. In those days, it was pretty much that was what they did. They were the house models. So anyway, so they might have 3 or 4 that they're hired. And one day they bring out a garment that's loosely sewn together. They call it this, I can't remember the term they used back in those days. It was kind of loosely put together to see where they need to make shifts or changes. Is it going to hang on a body correctly? And how's this going to work? So it's like a mannequin is there, whoever's on duty that day or at that office that day, they say, bring her in, they put on her. So, and I would go, oh my gosh. So they would try this dress or whatever it was, pantsuit, it didn't matter what she was making, and try it on her. And it would look a little bit off somewhere usually. And they'd say, well, let's make an adjustment here. And she'd repin on the model and they'd kind of look at it and okay. Then it goes back to the back room wherever the corrections had been made, whatever it was. It might come out and maybe a few days later or whatever, if they're not rushing that line. It just depends what season it was. It comes back out on the floor again, let's try it on. And then somebody else is on duty that day. Another one's using that or she's down the mark, who knows. Doesn't matter, same size, right? So they try it on her. Then they go, well, now it doesn't look this way over here. So let's try and fix this over here. And I saw that for years, and it used to drive me crazy because I thought, well, why does it look so different on every single person that comes out here, and yet they're the same size, and half the time they're the same coloring. It didn't seem to be anything about the color of the sample. I just didn't know what it was. It drove me nuts. And I just started, like I've said this many times, I didn't invent the universe, I just noticed a lot. And I just kept thinking, what is this? That was the thing that drove me, I think, the furthest in my work, because I just had to find out. And I didn't know exactly what it was, but the aha that I got from those 4 years in that industry or more was it isn't the clothing, it was the person. And it wasn't her size, it wasn't her body, it wasn't how she looked, it wasn't the color of her hair, it wasn't anything. Because it didn't matter. They would change every single time. And the part that broke my heart, and I think part of what drove me forward even more, was that this designer would draw this gorgeous garment. And by the time it hit the shipping department, it would just be another fairly attractive thing on a hanger, just kind of hanging there, and out the door it went. And these are high-end goods. And I just thought, wow, it could have been so much more exquisite, like she saw it, like she felt it, how she put it together. But you see, they were trying to adjust it to fit for everybody, and then it becomes nobody. You know.